Man, guys, like, I don't know about you, but this whole Antonio Brown situation just gets worse by the day.
It gets worse by the week. You know, this Antonio Brown situation doesn't get any fucking better, man. I don't know what to say about it anymore, man. I really don't. You know, it all started weeks after we beat the Bengals, after we missed the playoffs. There were reports how he apparently had an altercation with Ben, and apparently threw a football at him because he was taking off a route or something along those lines. And he apparently walked out on the team during the Bengals game at halftime, and pretty much Tomlin had this. He pretty much told his side of the story, and you know, Brown's just adding fuel to the fire ever since, and it just hasn't gotten better. And it just doesn't seem to get any better. It just seems like that. Honestly, it seems like Brown's value just continues to decrease.
Exactly.
Especially today, man.
I mean, the latest was the domestic dispute case, you know, which I believe is still going on. We haven't heard anything from it since.
Apparently, you know, I'm not really going to get into all that. You guys should know about that. Basically, his ex-wife was trying to get money for his daughter's haircut, and she told her daughter to go get the money, and Antonio Brown apparently wanted her out of the house, off her property. She refused, and Antonio Brown apparently pushed her off the property and injured her. Now, I honestly don't agree with what Antonio Brown did, but at the same time, I do agree because now I would no under any circumstance should you ever put your hands on a woman or a female ever. Not under any circumstance, but she did try to force her way into the home, and I feel like she was being too aggressive and did overreact. I mean, this dude gets paid almost $20 million a fucking season. You know, it's almost like she was acting like she wasn't going to pay her a $20 fucking haircut fee.
Right.
You know, that's the way I saw it.
Right. I mean, she was in the wrong, but at the same time, Brown was too. Because nonetheless, he still put his hands on a woman, in which you should never, ever do.
Right.
And that just adds more drama on Brown's freaking case.
Right. And you know, it's just, that was the latest of this Antonio Brown situation, and now this. You know, you guys may already know. Thank you, and this is from Antonio Brown. On February 12th, 2019, at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, man. Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward. Peace. Hashtag new demands, with him officially requesting a trade. Pretty much when I saw it, you know, it was pretty upsetting with me because it's sad to see that it's come to this. You know, I've said this before. I always thought Antonio Brown's career in Pittsburgh would be done at the age of 35, 36 years old. One of the best receivers of all time. Arguably the greatest receiver in Steelers history. You know, all that shit. You know, the fairy tale ending pretty much.
Right. You know, it's sad that I had to come to terms like this. Had to come to this type of circumstance, but...
And I don't understand what changed it. And we might get some answers down the road here, so... But after that, the latest news came out of this from Ian Rappaport. Sources: Steelers owner Art Rooney II is down in Florida where has a place, and he hoped to meet with frustrated wide receiver Antonio Brown to clear the air. However, Brown has no plans to meet with Rooney, as he stated his intentions publicly. Talks on AB's future will ramp up in Indy, which is, of course, where the Combine is at, which I cannot wait for.
Right. Now, when I first heard about this, I got extremely pissed off.
You know, I consider that incredibly disrespectful because this is a man that took a chance on you in the 6th round. This is a man that had, you know, took you in, groomed you, you know, all that shit, you know.
Took you under your wing, gave you an opportunity with an NFL team.
And gave you, I believe, the highest or the biggest wide receiver contract in NFL history, if I am correct. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. You know, after all that, and he won't even meet up with his boss, you know, for a quick.
Yeah, this is a man that signs your paychecks, you know? And you're just going to disrespect him like that, not even show up. Like, he himself, Art Rooney II, is going to travel down to Florida to meet with your sorry ass, and you're not even going to have the decency to meet up with him?
Right.
That's pretty disrespectful.
Right, and after that, I clearly want him out of Pittsburgh. You know, there's no way to fix this relationship. However, A development. Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown will now meet with owner Art Rooney II, showing respect to the man in charge, sources say. Now, I can't remember when this meeting will be held. I believe it is next week. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure when the meeting that will be. I know it's going to be a very interesting, highly, documented and everything, which who knows? Art Rooney II and Antonio Brown could be talking a way to reconcile, build the bridge back into Pittsburgh, and maybe he remains with Steelers, or maybe, Art Rooney, maybe grants Antonio Brown's request of a trade.
Yeah.
Maybe they're having a meeting.
Maybe they do some trade talks or something.
Yeah. Maybe they're having a meeting. Maybe they have the meeting, and Antonio Brown bases frustration, and Art Rooney replies, I'm sorry to see you go. It's sad to come to this. I appreciate and love everything that you did in the Steelers uniform. We will forever be grateful, but we will definitely trade you or look to trade you in the near future.
Right.
And then they shake hands and go their separate ways. Yeah. It doesn't. This relationship doesn't have to go out on very bad terms. Now, it's going to go out on bad terms to the point where the bridge will forever be burned, more than likely, but it doesn't need to go out, severely bad.
Right. I'm glad, that Brown's actually being able to show some decency to talk to the man in charge.
Now, I don't know what changed his mind.
Yeah, exactly, but I'm at least this can actually... that Brown can actually be willing to do this.
And hopefully there's some progress in either case.
Right.
Whether he stays or goes.
Yeah.
So...
nonetheless, they will meet soon.
Right. Now, after all this, we thought, hey, this might be, the final ending before we hear some news about Brown and Rooney's talks or any trade talks whatsoever. But no. Tom Brown went to go do this. This is from KIP_music, at KIP, Kip_music. Pittsburgh Steelers fans be like, get rid of Antonio Brown. He hits women, but be like, Big Ben is my hero. Wait, didn't he rape 2 college girls? What the fuck? But Kaepernick is still not signed, which, I don't understand where Kaepernick comes into play. But Antonio Brown, nonetheless, did like this tweet. He might have unliked it in the past, or he might have unliked it. I don't really know. But he did, in fact, like this tweet officially. So, that begs the question, man. If it might not be an ownership issue, it may not be a money issue. Is it something with Ben? Is this why Antonio Brown is acting this way? Because he has an issue with Ben?
I don't know. I can understand why. I really can.
Right, but, this officially, this is beyond unrepairable. Because I just don't see how Ben and AB can reconcile. Especially when he put this. So he was doing basically a 10 Q&A type thing, ask 10 questions, ask any questions, I'll answer 10 of them real quick, real truth and all that shit. So Savo, at SavoRPC on Twitter, asked, what caused the conflict between you and Ben Roethlisberger, #AskAB? He replied, no conflict, just a matter of respect, mutual respect. He has an owner mentality, like he can call out anybody, including coaches. Players know, but they can't say anything about it, otherwise they meal ticket gone. It's a dirty game within the game, #truth. So he's basically shitting on Ben for being able to call, he's shitting on Ben because Ben calls out guys, kind of like how he threw James Washington under the bus,
right?
And he called out Martavis Bryant and everything.
Yeah, he's basically saying that Ben can say and do whatever he wants, and he won't be in trouble. He won't get disciplined with it because of his current position as the Steelers starting quarterback.
Now, I actually agree with Antonio Brown. Yeah. He's not wrong. At the same time, he is really completely burning the bridge. He is completely kicking himself out the door. But he's not wrong in the statement. Ben, in my opinion, you guys may disagree, but Ben is just a part of this as Bell and Brown are. He's just as much to blame, honestly.
He is. He does nothing to prevent this from getting worse. He's actually making it worse.
Exactly.
Going out on his podcast and talking about shit that should stay in his personal life, that should stay in the locker room.
Yes. what he said about, now, I understand you guys might say that he does this to bring out the best of his receivers, but he can easily do that personally. You know, we have this thing called a phone. We have this thing called a phone number. We have a thing called text. Or the dude is literally 20 feet away from you in the Steelers locker room. You can literally go up to him personally and say, hey, you're a great fucking talent, man. You're so talented, man. You know, I appreciate your talent. I love your talent, man. You need to show me that talent. You need to express your true talents, man. We need you to step up. We're trying to win something.
Exactly.
Here.
You don't need to go on your podcast and say, oh, he did this wrong. I don't know if I can trust him anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need to go out like that. Go to him personally and talk to him like a regular human being. Be a real, true teammate.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's how Ben is. But I just hate that kind of conflict and that way of how Ben is.
You know what's crazy? All of this could have been avoided. You know, this is with Bell, Brown, and Ben. You know, everything combined. This all could have been avoided if they just took it a different approach. Like this, like, I agree with Antonio Brown. I agree. You know, he's not really wrong here. But I feel like he could have taken this into a different approach.
Yeah, he didn't have to post this on social media. He didn't have to add fuel to the fire. Again, just like you said, he could have called him or text him or talk to him publicly, personally, to Ben Roethlisberger and talk to him about this.
He could have grabbed his phone and said, hey, Ben, man, I love you. You know, I appreciate everything you've done for me, man. You made me a great player. I make you a better player, you know, because they do. You know, they complement each other perfectly. You know, he could easily say, Ben, I love you. You know, I appreciate you. I really do. I forever will. But I want to talk to you about something, you know. You know, it's something that fucking simple, man. You know, you don't need to go on social media and say this type of bullshit and just add fuel to the fire and stir the damn pot. You know, you're just giving the media and everyone ammo that they don't fucking need. And you know what the fuck they're going to do with it. You know, Antonio Brown was just saying back in September how Ben and AB laughed at the media for the shit that they spew. Bitch, you're giving them the fuel, bitch.
Exactly. You don't have to act this way.
You know, AB is not wrong in this, but he could have taken this a different approach.
Exactly.
And back on Ben, you know, Ben, everything with Bryant and throwing Washington under the bus, even with Rudolph, man, you know, he's saying that he's actually surprised. He was actually surprised that they drafted a quarterback and how he now wants to play another 5 years and everything. You know, I can see why Brown said that, and honestly, he's right. You know, the way I see it, you know, this is all speculation. I'm not saying this is truth, but this is all speculation. You know, it wouldn't surprise you whatsoever if Ben realizes how valuable and how much he means to the Steelers' success, that he can say whatever he wants and do whatever he wants without any consequence. And because he recognizes his value, because he knows he's so valuable and he adds so much to the Steelers and their success, he can say all that shit and not have to deal with the consequence. And honestly, because of that, he's really the only guy that is given that freedom, honestly.
Right, exactly.
You know,
that's the one thing that I really don't like. And listen, I love Ben. He's my quarterback, you know. Definitely one of my favorite Steelers of all time. But the thing about Ben is that he just won't ever shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
He just won't ever stop saying shit on his podcast instead of talking to him personally.
Right.
Talk to your players. Talk to your coaches personally. Don't go out on your podcast and fucking talk this shit. Keep it in the locker room.
Exactly.
Keep football-related things in the locker room. Simple.
Exactly. You know, I don't know, man. It's just, it's wild. It's very wild, man. Like,
it is.
You know, I just wish they would have taken this a different. All this could have been avoided if they just took a different approach. You know, that's pretty much it. You know, I'm trying to. You know, I was just thinking of something else that I could add to this, but it just left my mind, man. Hopefully it comes back to me, but I literally just forgot it, man. And I'm gonna beat the shit out of me for forgetting about that, man, because I don't know. But yeah, this is all. But this is very big, honestly. You know, AB is right. But at the same time, it could have been taken into a different approach. And honestly, actually, I just remember what I was gonna say. You know, back with Ben, you know, because of his value, he thinks he can do whatever he wants. You know, I understand that. But at the same time, the Steelers organization and the coaches and Ben himself, he needs to acknowledge that what he's doing and what he's saying actually affects the team. You know, if he actually took this all into perspective and thought, maybe he shouldn't say this shit because it's actually affecting his team, you know, more so than he would think.
Exactly.
You know,
I don't really see that as a true leader to the team. I mean, you look at Tom Brady, probably the most valuable player, arguably of all time, really. You don't see him coming out saying shit like this about his teammates, about his coaches. You don't see Drew Brees going out saying this shit. You don't see Aaron Rodgers saying this shit. You don't see Patrick Mahomes saying this shit.
Aaron Rodgers did call out his receiver, but I do understand where you're coming from.
But he's not. He's not like at a certain point as Ben is, as Ben's always been.
Right.
Ben really needs to slim this down. He needs to stop this.
Yeah.
He really does, because it's a huge distraction to this team.
You know, when Ben retires, I am seriously going to cry. I'm not even going to fucking, like, even if we're still making YouTube videos and shit, you know, when we announced that Ben retired, you know, you might see me crying, you know, to be warned, man. I might actually fucking cry. But at the same time, man, at least most of the drama, or at least the rest of the drama, will be gone, man. Seriously.
Yeah, really. You know, I know we're supposed to be talking about Antonio Brown and everything, but this is really the big newsworthy kind of thing right now, and it does involve Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Now, you know, maybe AB had all this built up inside him. He just said enough is enough, and because he officially wants out of Pittsburgh, he's now saying this shit. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we all speculated maybe coaches, or maybe he wants more money. Maybe it's just him and Ben.
Simply put, if this was taken to a different, if this was handled in a different way, you know, all this could have been avoided.
Exactly.
Seriously. Brown did go on to say this, though, because he did answer at least 5, 6, 7 questions and everything. Michael Marzilli, I believe.
Michael Marzilli, yeah.
He asked who would be those teams that you would like to play for, and he replied, "Best interest. This be my first meeting with Mr. Rooney ever as Antonio Brown the man, not AB84 the player and locker." Handshake emoji. "Never been to my house, their house. Like, what am I really doing? Less than what you bargained for, more than real. #truth. Well, first of all, he didn't even answer the guy's question. Second of all, I have no idea what the fuck he says.
No, I don't really. Yeah, I don't really get what he's trying to say here.
Right.
What this is leading to.
What I'm thinking, he's excited to meet with Mr. Rooney and everything. Which, I mean, I'm excited because I just want to see what happens and everything, how everything transpires. But I don't know what he said here. This is the other, and this is the last thing that we will show as of right now. Bambacha Buddha.
Yeah, I understand we're not good with pronouncing that. Yet again, no one really is.
Yeah.
So
he says, "You sat out on our last game against the Bengals. If you love the team as much as you say, regardless of your $70 million you made, you shouldn't be able to sit out so easily. Then for real." And then he replied, "After the coach, Tomlin, of course, after the coach tell the team I quit." Repeat that. After the coach tell the team I quit. So is he saying that Tomlin told the coach that he quit?
And that was before the Week 17 matchup against the Bengals?
Yeah, this is his response from Week 17 when he apparently had a conflict with Ben and he walked out and all that shit. So while nursing some bumps, then invite me to watch the show with the same guys thinking I quit. I cannot stand with that. Which honestly, I don't blame him. You know, I mean, just think about it. So say you're on a football team, if your coach tells your team that you walked out and you quit on them, but they still come in and invite you to join the show and everything, you know how that's weird. You know, it's kind of hypocritical.
It's kind of like in a way how they turned their back on you. You know, that's what I'm getting from Antonio Brown right here.
Right,
like the coaches and everyone else turned their back on Brown and everything.
But he finishes, "I'm the bad guy, though. We missed postseason. Think about it." Which, honestly, I don't know where that came from. I honestly, I never saw one Steelers fan ever say that the reason why we missed the playoffs was because of Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is clearly not the reason. And that goes with, where's it at? That goes with this as well. I never saw any Steelers fan ever say this. I never said, you know, we should get rid of AB because he hits women, but Ben's my hair. You know, I never saw any Steelers fan say any of this shit. So I don't know where he's getting that. I don't. Apparently he's saying that, from what I'm getting, he's saying that Tomlin told the team that he quit. I don't know if that's true. That's his story. You know, I don't know what to believe at this point. This is incredibly confusing. You know, what he said may be true, it may be confusing, it may be eyebrow-raising.
Yeah, from what I'm getting from these tweets from Brown is that these are his side of the story that's being told right now. Yes. You know how he always said in his Instagram video saying that his side of the story is going to come out? From what I'm getting is that this is how he thinks, this is how he is letting his story out through social media.
Now, what? Because obviously he wants out of Pittsburgh, and after all of this, I don't think the relationship can be fixed. I really don't. And if it is, it's going to be fixed with a very, 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 very small bandage that will easily fucking peel off. Like, you ever have a big ass cut that needs to be wrapped in a massive bandage, but you put a little bit of, tiny bandage over it, and it doesn't cover the whole thing? That's basically what the relationship is going to be if they fix it. Because I don't see how this relationship can be fixed after any of this.
Yeah.
He basically called out Ben and let out his true frustrations about Ben. Not only Ben, but the team and the coach and the ownership and everything. So I don't see how this relationship is going to be fixed. And honestly, after all, because he obviously wants out of Pittsburgh. And because he wants out of Pittsburgh, he feels like that he's free enough to... And he's able to express how he actually feels. And that is exactly what he did on Twitter. And because of that, I feel like that the meeting with Art Rooney next week or whenever it is, he's basically going to tell Art Rooney, hey, I want traded. He might.
I don't think it's going to be...
He'll be respectful. Hey, I appreciate you drafting me and everything, but I want traded. I need a new start. And honestly,
I don't think it's going to be a reconcile kind of meeting. I think they're just going to do some trade talk.
And honestly, I hope it's not, because even if it's a reconcile, I don't think it's going to work, or if it does, it's not going to work for long.
Even if he says it's not going to resolve the issues, because it's only going to get worse.
Right.
Because I don't see how with Brown coming out and saying this, how the team's just going to forgive him and everything.
Or how Ben and AB is going to reconcile.
Exactly. It's going to be hard to see that.
He basically, now I'm not saying he did this, but in term, he basically agreed that Ben was a rapist. He said that Ben has an ownership mentality and he can run his mouth wherever he wants without no consequence, but I'm unable to do that,
And if I do, I'm out of here.
Right.
Basically.
I just don't see how any of this is going to be fixed. The bridge is honestly burned completely. Yeah. And I just hope that the meeting with Rooney and Antonio Brown, which I'm sure is going to be highly documented, is like the final meeting or whatever, and we just agree on a trade.
Yeah.
We agree to go our separate ways. It doesn't have to go out on a very nasty way. It doesn't have to go out in a very nasty war. It can go out kind of nasty, but at the same time be peaceful. Be respectful about it.
Right.
You don't have to be so aggressive and nasty and dirty, But I just don't see how any of this is fixed or any of this is reconciled. In my opinion, this is done. Antonio Brown is done in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. And if Art Rooney II were to dig into or bring out his inner grandfather and his inner father,
his inner Rooney, really,
he would immediately trade him. Because we all know the Rooneys never put up with this bullshit ever. And that's just old school gridiron football.
Old school Pittsburgh Steelers style.
Yeah. And that's what we need to adapt to next, man. Anytime the Steelers would adapt with drama or anything, they would be scooted out of Pittsburgh with a first class ticket, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's just I don't see how any of this is reconciled. I don't see how any of this is fixed. I think Antonio Brown is officially done in Pittsburgh. The bridge is fully burned.
I hate to see him go out like this,
I just doubt we see water under the bridge. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Now, you guys may disagree. We'll see in the coming weeks, man. I honestly just hope Antonio Brown gets traded, because if Antonio Brown ever returns to that locker room, there's going to be some massive fucking hell. Honestly.
Yeah.
With everyone. It doesn't look pretty. It does not look pretty thinking about it. It's going to be a nasty start to our 2019 season in training camp. It's going to be a nasty start.
And we can't have that.
We can't. Now, they might meet in person. They might reconcile. Maybe. We'll see. Antonio Brown might never get traded. Who fucking knows? But honestly, I feel like for the best of Antonio Brown and for the best of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's just best to deal him and part ways. It's for the best of both of them. The Steelers have had enough of the drama. It has gotten us nowhere. And Antonio Brown is clearly done. He has had enough in Pittsburgh.
He's unhappy in Pittsburgh.
It's just best if both parties were to split.
Just let it be.
It's like a happily married couple that is so happy, you know, they're so loving and caring for each other, but sometimes they just need some space. This is what it's like. You know, looking back at it, Antonio Brown was looking to be one of the favorite Steelers of all time, one of the best Steelers of all time. Arguably could still be considered that. But now it's, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's a very crazy situation, but one that I think needs to be dealt with ASAP, and one that honestly should be dealt with them splitting.
Yeah.
It's just in my opinion, it's just the best for both parties, honestly.
I definitely agree.
Seriously.
It's time to trade Brown.
So, we'll see what happens, man. Give us your guys' thoughts, comments below. We really love to hear from you guys, man. Crazy, crazy shit, man. And we'll definitely keep up and continue and update you guys with this story and shit, man. Whatever Antonio Brown says or does or whatever happens, we'll update you guys. So, yeah. But give us your guys' thoughts, comments below. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen, what you guys want to happen, and everything, man. Love to hear from you guys. So, let us know what you guys think, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace!